Welcome everyone to the City Council meeting for Monday, July 22nd. We could have a roll call, Madam Clerk, to establish quorum.
David Avanzino.
Here.
Steve Holofield.
Here.
Harry Meyer.
Here.
Autumn Slane is absent with notice. Susan Gerning.
Here.
Terry McClung.
I am here.
All right, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Get a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I have one item to add at the bottom of new business is the clerk treasurer second quarter financials. Anybody else have anything? If not, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I make a motion. Second.
Mr. Meyer made the motion and Mr. Holyfield seconded.
No.
Oh, Mr. Avanzino? Soft voice there. All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Get a motion to approve the minutes for June 24th.
I move to approve the minutes of June 24th.
Second.
So that was, Mr. Meyer made the motion, Mr. Holyfield made the second that time.
Yep.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we do have some vacancies in the Planning Commission, and I know we got several applicants for the CAPC. There are right now vacancies. Also in the HDC, we got a vacancy. And the cemetery tonight, want to nominate Brita Recu. I think her application's in your packet. So, yeah.
I move we approve Rivka for the Cemetery Commission.
How long have we had the application?
This is the first one.
Yeah, because I haven't had a chance to call her or anything.
Yeah, I think let's wait until
Okay.
next time. Yep, all right. All right, that brings us up to public comments. Please limit your time to 3 minutes.
Ken Fogo, 150 North Main Street. I'd like to speak on the permanent entertainment district proposed. The natives are restless. Recent decisions by Eureka Springs governing bodies have not sat well with the voters. Among these are CAPC altering an advertisement when contractually illegal and spending city money on a new roundabout when not even willing to keep our city streets maintained. Now we're back to creating a permanent entertainment district. This was approved by council about 4 years ago with comments of, I've not talked to anyone who thinks it's a bad idea. Apparently they spoke with very few voters. The idea was so hated that a referendum was circulated, and when going to a public vote was defeated by a 2-to-1 vote. Not only back to creating a permanent entertainment district, but as a special allowance for an individual, one who can apply for a temporary permit. From my understanding, there has been trouble from a few bad actors, people leaving drinks from the district, etc. I'm not sure how the applicant will keep the bad actors away or under control. Your duty as a city councilman is not to increase the tax base nor give special dispensations, but to do the best thing for your neighbors, the electors. You have the choice under state law of sending this to the voters as a referendum. Allow the people who live here and would have to live with the decision, have the decision. Don't forget that your duty is to represent the people. Thank you.
My name is Karen Lindblad. I live at 17 Vaughn Street, and I've lived in Eureka for this spate 48 years and had a business here. This ordinance for this permanent entertainment district is not only a joke, but it's a slap in the face to the citizens here who voted 2-1. Not only that they didn't want an entertainment district downtown, they don't want people walking around drinking in large areas that cannot be controlled well. It says in here that you can't walk around with more than 16 ounces of alcohol. Is that straight whiskey? The beer? What is it? And the fact that it says in here that this would be a boon to Eureka Springs and entertainment, you are giving a permanent alcohol district to people who own private property, and it's going to boost their businesses, and it's not going to boost anybody else's business. The people in this town want people drinking in bars where bartenders can keep track of how much they're drinking, and if they're drinking too much, they can cut them off. With a bunch of people walking around, you're not going to be able to do that, and you don't even know if they're going to be coming in with alcoholic bottles in their pockets unless you're going to search them on the way in. This is a really horrible idea. You know, a lot of people get killed by drunk drivers. When I was 20 years old, I was run over by one. I'm lucky I'm not in a wheelchair right now. And this is absolutely stupid. We have enough bars. This is not going to advantage anybody except the people out at Pine Mountain. That is it. And there's so little in here about how they're going to patrol it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just crazy. And to have it from 10 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week, excuse me. This is just ridiculous. It's not going to increase the business here. What would increase the business here is if the CAPC would get their butts in gear and have some entertainment in the auditorium like we used to have when we had the Blues Festival and the Jazz Festival and all those things. That brought people to town. But I don't think we need to have any more drinkers, and I'm not sure our police department will even be able to handle this. This is a boon to a private property owner, and not only a slap in the face of all the people that own bars in town, but a slap in the face to the citizens who have already said no. We are not Bourbon Street in New Orleans. We are Eureka Springs, and we have a lot of families that come here, and we don't need a bunch of drunk drivers driving around on the highways.
I'm Margot Elliott with the Purple Flower. I'm an advocate and the office manager. We help the survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault for all of Carroll County. Our resource center helps those who are in crisis and need of a safe place when their life has been in chaos. We are a 501c3. The most recent statistics for April, May, and June, 75% are victims with kids. 21% of those are pregnant or with an infant. 75% supported with safety planning. 71 are unhoused. 71%. 55%, we accompany them to court. 41% provided community resource referrals. 35% provided emergency shelter. 30% provided transportation. 28% provided emergency financial support. 18% provided emergency food, and 18% provided personal items. That was 80 new clients that we supported just for those 3 months, and twice as many current clients that were updated. So I found out about this meeting by Jackie Wolven, and I guess they're having a nonprofit speak once a month, and that's why I'm here. Just to make sure everybody's aware of it. We have a federal grant that's never guaranteed. We have some small grants, but we run by our operating account by donations. and the need keeps increasing. There's only 4 of us that are part-time, and that's all the federal grant will pay us to do. So we pretty much all work more hours than that. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I've got some brochures, if I can just leave some on the front table. I think that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Mike Welch, 16 Kings Highway. I'm here to support the Planning Commission request to continue the temporary moratorium on additional applications for B&B rentals in Eureka Springs. I would also like to include all short-term rental applications in that moratorium, not just strictly B&Bs. Recent information has been brought to the attention of the Planning Commission in which that will allow us to give a blueprint for a long-term proposal for the City Council's consideration on this important matter. Thank you.
Any other public comments? All right, I think that will conclude our public comments then. Oh, we got a couple to be read into the record.
Dear representatives, we are Ken Howard and Mike Horton. We've been living at 11 Thomas Drive here in Eureka Springs for 5 years. Ken brought his professional cybersecurity marketing job with him when we moved back to Arkansas in 2019. Mike is retired. We are asking you to respectfully consider the impact of the request for an entertainment district at Pine Mountain Village for the following reasons. While the owners and businesses at Pine Mountain Village will benefit from this entertainment district, its neighbors will suffer from the traffic and noise. Eureka Springs sits on a folded landscape of ridges and hollows. The hollows very effectively carry noise from the amphitheater on the backside of the property to all the homes on College Street, Martz Lane, Ming Street, Little Lake Eureka, Drennan Drive, East Mountain Drive, and Thomas Drive. Operation of the entertainment district as proposed will produce noise and traffic such as is normally only experienced 2 or 3 weekends a year. This will likely result in falling property values in an otherwise quiet and stable middle-class neighborhood. The city ordinance authorizing the establishment of entertainment districts is clearly written to indicate that the objective is promise hospitality and tourism within the city, stating that it should be located in a part of the city that is zoned for and customarily used for commercial purposes. But while the property itself is zoned commercial, it sits within an area that is zoned residential, and as pointed out above, noise carries easily through the hollows behind the property. Finally, the benefit is not directed for a wide range of businesses, but rather for a very small set of businesses owned primarily by the applicant. It seems that the risk versus reward equation is weighted very heavily in favor of one business owner. If Eureka Springs is to have an entertainment district, it seems that it should be situated in an area that benefits a greater number of businesses in the city. For all of the above reasons, we respectfully ask that you deny this request. Kind regards, Ken Howard and Mike Horton, 11 Thomas Drive. Terry Wolfenbarger, 75 Wall Street. I would like to request that the proposed entertainment district be denied as written. The proposed area seems to benefit one party while overly burdening several others due to excessive noise and traffic parking issues. Overflow parking from activities there have impacted other area businesses' ability to serve their customers during past events. Given that as written it can operate 7 days a week, this also has the potential to adversely impact area businesses' local traffic. Personally, we avoid that area of businesses we otherwise frequent when large events are being held on Pine Mountain's lot. Additionally, the current proposal does not have a clause outlining until what circumstances the permit could be rescinded beyond the umbrella of public safety or whether the defining parameters 7 days a week may be revisited. By doing so, the council could allow for changing circumstances in the future. For these reasons, I request that the proposal current proposal be denied at this time. Thank you for your consideration and your service to our community. That's it.
All right, now I believe we conclude the segment on public comments, written and verbal. So we will now go into our unfinished business with item number 1, sewer update. Get a motion to discuss.
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So as far as updates on the sewer, right now we have a collapsed line over the compost facility that we're going to fix here pretty soon. Over the weekend, we had one of the blower motors go down on the SBR number 2. It is the SBR that we had the influent valve that's off right now being repaired. Hopefully we'll have that back, the influent valve back installed here pretty quick, but we're running both the SBRs off one blower motor right now. And then I've started to have to take some bids on a lift station pump for the Huckleberry lift station. We had a pump that went down over there. The 2 quotes I've got so far are $39,000 and $50,000, so it's going to be expensive. So hopefully this next council meeting I have all 3 quotes and I can bring them to you guys for approval so we get that going. Stand for any questions.
What lift station, Simon?
Huckleberry.
Okay.
How many have we replaced so far?
Well, most of our lift stations have like residential pumps in them, so they're not very expensive. This one at Huckleberry has a 50 horsepower pump. It's a pretty large pump, so they're quite a bit more expensive. The normal lift station pumps are within my spending authority, so you guys typically don't hear about that a whole lot. You know, it's just over $1,000, $2,000 probably, so we just go and replace it. Yes, sir.
When do we hear from McClellan again as far as the sewer plant goes?
Well, so as far as the rates, what is
Rate study, we got that coming up.
yeah, we
Everything
meet with
general.
them every 2 weeks on the rate study stuff. And then as far as the applications go for funding for the wastewater plant, we're just waiting on them to contact us with approval or not, the powers to be. So,
Things have been submitted?
yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yep.
I have one last question. I saw the crew working out today on Main Street. What happened there?
So there was a valve there on Main Street, and the line broke right there by that valve. My crew was under the assumption that it was the service line that was feeding 34 through 38 North Main Street, which would have been Bear the barber shop and the shops next to him. Once they got that fixed this afternoon, they realized that there's something else going on with this service line, so we're going to be attacking it again first thing in the morning, trying to figure it out. My suspicion is that his pressure reducing valve's on the wrong side of the meter, and that it just went bad on him, and it's collapsed. They'll pretty much shut your water off when they go bad. Here on Main Street, there's a lot of the old services that had instead of having it on the residential side, it has it on the public works side of things. So we're going to excavate that out tomorrow and try to figure out what's going on with that. So hopefully we get that going tomorrow morning.
Mr. Mayor, I guess it's all right to go ahead and segue kind of into number 2, into the water. That's kind
Unless
of what
there's
we're
any other
doing.
comments on the sewers? Yeah.
Okay, do we need a motion or anything on that, or a motion to go ahead and discuss water
Second.
remediation?
Second.
Okay, where are we with the electronic meters?
Yeah, we're sitting about, so at the beginning of, I guess it was last Tuesday, I gave a report to the mayor, and we were sitting about 240 of them that weren't reading correctly. We've got that number substantially lower. We've had a lot of issues with MXU.
What's substantially lower?
Probably at least half of what that was right now. And I'll have an exact number for you tomorrow, Mayor. But we're looking at just over 100 probably.
What's been, this has been going on a whole lot longer than what we ever thought it would.
I want to remind you that I have a staff of 6 people that do all the maintenance, and with these water leaks, we just haven't had time to dedicate to these meters. I mean, we're working on them as we can work on them, but we're taking care of it. It's just being time consuming because I just don't have the
I
staff.
thought that company was installing those, and
Well, they did, but they left and they didn't come back, so we're having to do it.
why didn't they come back? Why are they falling short of their commitment? If
There was
they
no
are-
contract with that vendor to install them. Socorro Main's been coming about once a month to help out, and they were here.
Well, I thought there was. I
Last
thought they
week.
were, that was part of the package. They were installing and all
So
of that.
we've got all the meters installed they could be installed. I mean, all that's done. The issues with the meters are because there's information that's wrong, like the MXU number's missing or the GPS location of the meter's missing, and it's not picking it up in our system.
So is that a glitch in their
There's-
end of the package?
That's possible.
Well, then shouldn't they be involved in?
If they would come back, I'd have them fix that, Harry, but they're not coming back, so
We
there's
need to
nothing.
have the city attorney write them a nasty letter.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm serious. I mean, what do we do? How do we get it accomplished? How do we get there?
We're almost there, so, I mean, but yeah, I could contact the attorney if you want me to and have him do that.
Well, I mean, that's not my decision, but, you know, this has been a long process, and we should be up and running by now, and it should have been for some time, I would think. So I am concerned about it. I truly am.
Yeah. So you want me to give my water updates?
Sure.
All right. So far this month, we fixed a leak at 17 Linwood, one Ridgeway, one over at Stadium Drive, one down on Highway 62, 3147 East, it's 3174 East Van Buren, 2100 East Van Buren, we replaced a valve, 2100 East Van Buren, their service line's rotted out, and we've replaced a lot of it, but we actually have a new line we're going to run this winter time to replace that entire service line. 3031 East Van Buren, 13 Thomas Drive. We fixed one over at North Street, 38 North Main today, 2 Hillside. We still have 3 leaks right now, 2 of them, one being at Brighton Ridge and the other one at the Travel Lodge. And then as far as Kettle Campground goes, they've been really pleasant to work with lately. They've set up an account and everything, and we're hoping to try to get that done tomorrow.
That was my next question. I hope
Good
that's right.
news.
So, any more questions?
I thought I was under the impression, I thought you told me we'd hired somebody to help us with those meters.
We did originally, but they didn't.
No, I mean,
they came
just
and
recently.
started, and they never did come back to finish it
Because you and I
up.
talked about the meters last week.
Yeah, there was 200 some odd meters that weren't reading in our system. We have 40 meters that haven't been swapped over, and it's just because they're just about impossible to get to. They put them out on private property. They're down in ravines, stuff like that, where I have to get an excavator down there. We don't even have an excavator. So those are the issues that we're having with those. Some of them are inside buildings. They shouldn't be inside buildings. Our municipal code says that they're supposed to be within the right of way, but what they did in the past is what they did in the past. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is we got 40-something meters that are still analog, that are old, that we're having to replace. But, I mean, when you listen to my list of water leak fixes that we've had over the last month, I mean, it's pretty obvious that we just don't have the manpower or the time to really take care of that right now. So, I mean, we're doing it as we can, and, you know, it is what it is.
How many of those old analog meters that you can't get to do we have in town?
So I've ordered the meters to replace them all the analogs. So we should have those in stock now. But it's just getting the manpower contracted out to get somebody in there to do it with the equipment. One of them, 1 meter pit over by the Stone Gate. There's 4 meters in there for different places, and it's down in a ravine of all places. You know, just horrible to get to. And then, you know, we have to have an excavator go down there because our backhoes can't do it. So, you know, it's just, you know, a bunch of different issues. So
The meters are in the ravine, like down behind the Stone Gate, is that?
they're supposed to be in front of the Stone Gate on the highway, but they're down in a ravine down behind it.
Is our water line back behind there?
No, the service line runs to Van Buren. It just, for whatever reason, they put the meters way back in the woods. So I don't really have an answer for
Would
that.
it be a simpler deal to replace the meters up at the top of the service line instead of at the bottom of the service line?
Yeah, I'd love to do that, but one thing we have to remember is the meter is the owner's responsibility to do. So if we move that meter pit, everybody that connects to it's going to have to move their services up to us. And people might not have the financial means of doing that.
I'm not sure I understand.
We're only responsible to the meter.
That's correct.
So if I move the meter back on the service line that goes to our meter, they got to run their house lines further out to connect to us. That means they're going to have to get plumbing permits, hire plumbers, the whole 9 yards.
So it's connected to our main on Van Buren, and then the city paid the expense to run a line back around behind and let them set the meters back behind. So we're responsible for that line all the way to the meters back
That's
to
correct.
the rear of the building.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
Have you ever heard the
That's certainly not
term,
your-
you pay for the sins of your father?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
So, yeah, absolutely.
It's not the weirdest thing I've heard, Terry, on the water and sewer system.
Come hang out with us for a day. You'll see all kinds of weird stuff.
All right, any other questions for Simon? All right, thanks, Simon.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that brings us up to item number 3.
I'd move we table that till after our workshop.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Meyer and seconded by Mr. Holyfield to table this till after the workshop. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, this brings us up to item number, new business. Number 1 is a temporary entertainment district restrictions and permanent, regarding the temporary and permanent entertainment district. It says at Pine Mountain, but I think this is basically overall for it's not just at Pine Mountain. From
Motion to discuss.
Yeah. Okay. I think in your packet, gentlemen, you have the existing ordinance, 2283. I think the 2 areas of concern that I heard one was the entertainment district being able to just have one at a time. I'm not sure, Mr. McClung?
Yeah, if that's what we're addressing, that,
I think there's 2 different items, but that was
yeah,
one of them.
yeah, one is the idea of having, lateral locations, I guess is one way to put it, that where we can, there can be more than one entertainment district in effect at the same time with something, citywide is going on, which I think that is certainly a fair request, and we're not geared to do that at this point, and I think that is a change that we could affect.
And that would come under section 7A4. No temporary entertainment district applications for any of the same dates and location has already been approved or was previously received and will be approved.
I don't have a page for that. It goes
Yeah.
from
I don't have that.
Section 6.
I go 6
6 to 8.
We run
to
jump,
8.
Y'all not have a copy of the ordinance?
jump from section 2
One
to
page is missing.
section 5.
The page you're talking about is missing.
Page 4.
Or what it's section 6,
I didn't get
and then it jumps over to section 8.
Yeah, we didn't get a page 4.
Yeah, if
Sorry.
you'll just read that to
Page
us. I
3.
think
The
that'd be
copier must have messed up.
Well, what it says in section 7, standards for creating temporary entertainment district. A, basically, the mayor's office shall recommend and implementing resolution for the creation of temporary entertainment district as requested by the applicant, blah, 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 blah. And then it gives us some items that requiring adequate sanitation, health facilities, concentration will not interfere with fire and police protection or ambulance service contiguous to its location. And then item 4 is the one where we're talking about, and item number 5. Item 4, no temporary entertainment district application for any of the same dates and location has already been approved or was previously received and will be approved. And item 5, no temporary entertainment district application for the same date or within a time frame within 24 hours of the same date as previously received and will be granted, which will require the use and deployment of public resources in such a manner that when combined with a subsequent application is reasonably determined, there'd be an adverse effect upon the city's ability to provide such resources and to protect the welfare and safety of persons and property, provided that the mere expenditures of public funds for overtime payment for public employees shall not be deemed an adverse effect upon the city's ability to provide public services.
Now, that's awful lengthy for making a restriction. I'm not sure I understand what
Should
what
we
you're
table
saying.
this
That's not.
till we get page 4?
What it's saying is that we cannot have 2 entertainment districts at the same time because of the stress upon public services.
Okay,
That's the short form of item 5.
okay.
Okay.
Now, what we can do is put that out and say, the security shall be paid for by the applicant.
I think, if I may speak, that I think that 4 and 5 should both be stricken and have it put in there where that, you know, all temporary entertainment districts should provide their security, and that they can, that we can. That'd be 1, and then 2 would be that there can be more than one, you know, covering the same event in a separate location. However that is to be worded, I'm not. That would be for the attorney to word that. I think
if we don't even need to mention that, once we take out these 2 items, then it doesn't mention the fact that
I do
you
think
can't
we
have
need. Oh, I see. Yeah. So it wouldn't even. They could be
It would
done
just-
anyway.
It basically states that,
Yeah. Not saying that it can't be done means that it can be done.
right. And that they would just be they would have to provide their own security system.
I think that's a good thing, that they do need to provide security.
And then because that's where item 5 is, where it's talking about expenditures and stressing the city's
Resources.
Is
City's
security,
resources.
does security include like a temporary EMT service as well, or I don't think so, does it?
we don't have any EMTs on staff on duty at entertainment districts. We
No.
don't have a fire
No.
ambulance there.
So, yeah, so if they need those services, they call for them just like anybody else would.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Meyer?
Well, I like the idea of only one at a time. I don't know why we want to have 4 or 5 temporary entertainment districts on the same day, or 2 or 3. That puts a strain on the police department. That puts a strain on most all the services. And no, I think it's just fine the way it is. As far as the security is concerned, I remember distinctly visiting Pine Mountain Village when they had their very first entertainment district, temporary entertainment district. And they had a rope across from the Harley shop over to the old chamber building. and they had guys at every entrance. They had security. And you didn't get in there with a beer, and you didn't leave with the people with alcohol. But now the way their map shows, you can park inside the entertainment district, open up your trunk, pull a beer out of your cooler, and you're there. Oh yeah, you'd have to go get a wristband or something. But no, I think we ought to leave it the same way it is now, only that they need to provide security.
Anybody else? Mr. Holyfield?
I see both sides of this, but I believe if we haven't had a conflict in the past, have we had people trying to?
We have.
A couple times.
Yeah. And mainly the conflict is, you might say Pine Mountain in downtown.
Right.
Yes, Ms. Green.
Like Steve, I see both sides. I heard some of our citizens against it, but when I was out collecting signatures, I also heard a lot that said they were for it. And one of the concerns I see, though, as they pull into Pine Mountain, is they stop them coming into the parking lot, and it's a lot of congestion on 62. So I think that that's kind of a concern there. With the events, one of the comments made at the last meeting, it's, well, whoever gets to the city first to be able to have their event is the one that wins. So if we have two, and I think non-competing events, I mean, if one's, maybe it goes by location. If you have one up at Pine Mountain, or if you have one downtown, they're not in the same area, so maybe we can control the area to help that. We still have the issue, though, there was an event going on, and I was like, this is crazy, just trying to get past Pine Mountain. It wasn't unbearable. You get past it, but it was an issue. At the last meeting I heard, I thought, from many, was that if they were to get the permanent district or entertainment district okay, how long would that go for? Like a CUP, what if we put a time constraint on it? Then that eliminates one entertainment district okay, because it's permanent, and the rest you would apply for. I'm just throwing options out there.
Steve?
Well, I definitely think we need to separate these two discussions, permanent and temporary.
Yes.
Permanent has nothing to do with the temporary. And I'm not for permanent entertainment district at all. And I don't think this council's even really supporting a permanent entertainment district. It's been brought to us a couple times, and there's been no support for it, so I'm not sure why we're talking about it again. But the temporary, I can see if we don't want to limit businesses, if they can, Pine Mountain could do an event and someone downtown could do an event, and they pay for their own security. It's not taxing the police department, it's not taxing services, so I think I'm for it.
It also, too, remind the council that it would still come before the city council. They wouldn't be as a group. I mean, you'd have one temporary entertainment district at point A, application come before the council. 2 weeks later, or maybe at that same time, or a week later, or next council meeting, you'd have another entertainment district at point B. So it still comes before the council to approve, yay or nay. So and then you get somebody with point C that wants to do one up at by the community center or someplace. It's still the option of the city council to say, no, we've got too many, or no, I don't see a problem.
Right.
It's still up to the council to make those decisions. You have that control, I should say. Mr. Meyer?
With the congestion that you're talking about at Pine Mountain, that was because they were stopping them as they were coming in to let them, I guess they were maybe collecting money for an armband or something.
I think they were ensuring that they had whatever they needed to get in and to get the armband.
And if they had the fence down there that I'm talking about, then they could come in and park and then go to enter the entertainment district and not block traffic, which, that's a good point.
That's doable. It sure is.
Mr. Almazena?
Yeah, I think I want to say one of the temporary entertainment districts they had was for the Mustang weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And like Susan said, the traffic was so backed up, people were just parking on both sides of Van Buren. There was no parking in the parking lot, but they kept letting people in. I mean, as far as a permanent entertainment district, I have to agree with Steve. I am not for it at all. But I am, of course, open to entertaining more than one temporary entertainment district at a time.
Mr. McClung?
So, if I understand it correctly, if I make a motion that for ordinance 2283, that we amend it and remove paragraph 7, 4, and 5.
No, it's just 4. It's 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
Yeah, it's in section 7.
Huh?
It's in
Section 7.
Yeah.
That's what I said. It's section 7, 4, and 5. Remove those and replace it with, or I guess, in there where it would be where all entertainment districts are to provide security, their own security, at a standard that we would have to set. I think we'd have to have a minimum requirement for that, and our police chief can work that out depending on what they're doing, and I would think that would be all right. So if we're clear on this, I would like to make a motion to that effect. Am I making sense to everybody?
Yeah.
It did until you started elaborating.
I got something to add.
If you want to make a motion to 7A, 4, and 5, omit, delete section 4 and 5 and section A, and include a section that says all temporary entertainment districts shall provide their own security.
That's what I'm after.
Okay. Okay, that's the motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Now you can go ahead and elaborate on what you're talking about.
My discussion goes to that before we approve this, that the city attorney, verify that what we're thinking is correct, that by eliminating it, that we're not preventing it from happening as well, if we need to be specific and allow it. So, but that'll be easy enough to find out by next meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Meyer.
I'd like the police chief's take on all this.
Well, it just so happens he's here.
Yes. And while he's here, we might as well.
Council. Mayor,
All right, speak into the microphone.
questions?
What do you think about having more than one temporary entertainment district in town, and about the traffic jams that are on 62?
I agree with the traffic problem on 62. Would much rather they did any kind of parking checks or entrance inside of their own parking lot. I like your idea of having the parking lot open to the public. If they're going to have an entertainment district, have some kind of way for people to get in and out of there without blocking. I pulled in there, I wanted to get off the road in my police vehicle. I got stopped. I went on through. It just, you're right, they shouldn't close off every entrance to be able to get traffic in and out of there, emergency units, things like that. That's question one as far as the traffic goes. I think they need to allow people to get in and out of there.
Now, I would say, though, this may not have anything to do with the temporary entertainment district.
Yeah, this is not what we're discussing here. Is not a part of what we're trying to resolve
yes,
here.
it is.
No, it's not.
No.
No, it's not.
When we have Corvette weekend, you have a Mustang show, you have an antique car show,
They just
but
had
especially
Mustang.
Corvettes, they're lined up on both sides of the road, and they are stopping people because it's not a ticketed event, but it's a judging event. Same thing with the Mustangs and car show. But that's a separate item, separate
Right.
issue.
Yeah, that is a separate issue. If we can resolve this, then I think, because it's the next topic again on, for Pine Mountain Village,
Yeah,
for a temporary there and their map and how they want to do it.
yeah.
And so I think then we can address that issue as far as Pine Mountain
But-
and how they,
I want to make note that it's not just because of the entertainment district, it's
Correct.
any big car show we have creates a problem up there.
if we don't have people in town, we don't raise taxes. So we're going to have some complications to most any issue, you know. If we want them here, we got to
Just-
put up with a little bit of difficulty.
Exactly.
Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, Chief.
I think to give that back to the Pine Mountain management and say, if you want to do this, then you need to figure out your parking problem and not block the street.
Well, question
But-
for the,
But also I have a question for the police chief. If you hire private security, can they direct traffic? Can they go out and stop traffic and stuff, or is that only police officers?
I would want to know if they were going to. As far as anything on the main street, I'd want to know there's going to be somebody out there. But as far as private security, someone made a note back there. I mean, we would like to be involved in their security logistics in some way, approving or disapproving. How many people they had per, how many people they're going to expect, how many people they're going to facilitate, as opposed to how many they're going to be able to secure. And then, as long as we're aware of all that, then I have, my recourse is to send somebody down there to check on things periodically, or at least we know who to talk to when we get down there, those types of things. And I'm sure Gary, the fire chief, would feel the same way, to be able to know who your points of contact are when you arrive, those types of things. If you're going to have more than one, it's been my habit, if there's one, I always do that anyway. I always go there and I try to establish who my points of contact are. I pass it on to the guys. Did that as a patrol supervisor. I haven't had to do it as a chief yet, but go ahead.
Well, that, I think, is where the city attorney comes in drafting this, something in that
I'll
that
get
covers that where the, it has to meet.
I'll have
Police department approval.
the chief help draft up
Yeah,
some
excellent,
outlines
sure, yeah.
to give to the city
Great.
attorney.
well, my other question was having two at a time or
If
three
they
at a
fell under
time.
those perimeters, I wouldn't be opposed to it. If we had some kind of knowledge of what their security was going to be up front and approved or disapproved it, I wouldn't have a problem with two.
See, the way Pine Mountain does their car shows, they do them right out there in their parking lot instead of around that loop in the back.
No, they do around the
their
loop
fingers are.
also.
Huh?
They do around the loop also.
Well, then their parking lot is full and there's no room for people that want to attend the damn thing.
But that's got nothing to do with the entertainment district.
Well, it does if it affects traffic in town, is that right, Chief?
Well, it doesn't stop it. I mean, they always leave a lane open, but it does slow it down. But I think Councilman McClung had a good point. If you have people, you're going to have slow traffic. That's just
Also,
been the way it's always been.
and just for council's information, all of these entertainment district applications or any event application go before the police chief, the fire chief, Public Works, to make sure that they have any problems, and they sign off on it.
Yeah.
And if they have a problem, then they'll deny it.
I was going to suggest that.
So,
Should we
and it won't
put
even come
some,
to the council at this point.
should we put something in the ordinance about approval from the police chief on how they have their security and so forth, like he wants as a review of?
I think we'd leave it up to the police chief to help write the ordinance and give it to us because he knows how
Okay.
the issues are coming up. And what he needs to have on there.
Sounds good.
So basically, I think I understand your motion, though. Basically, we will have something to the effect, the motion would be that they would provide their own security as developed by the ordinance, by the city attorney.
Does that factor in this so many security guards per person or per body? How does,
I would
because that's
think
not
so.
outlined
I would
anywhere
think that would
currently.
be relevant, yeah, if they knew they were going to have 300 people, just like when we do the auditorium. There's so many people per security officer or per staff member, it would be good to know up front, how many people are you expecting, how many people are you going to have, and that way if they get overran, we know, hey, you have to stop letting people in. If you didn't expect this many and you didn't provide for that many, it's just like any other event. You just close it off.
And in the current approval process, do you look at that currently?
We don't
or-
have a current approval process.
Right, okay.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, anybody else have any questions? Okay, I think the motion is to eliminate under section 7A, items number 4 and 5, and reinsert something to the effect that all temporary entertainment districts shall provide their own security as written by the city attorney, or something to that effect.
Yeah, he'll write it.
And then it'll come before the council, and we'll get the police chief involved. All right, any further questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved. All right. Any other items on this ordinance before we go ahead? Okay. That brings us up to the resolution for the temporary entertainment district for the Corvette weekend on October 3rd through the 6th. The motion to discuss.
Second.
No, go ahead.
Mr. McClung made the motion, and Mr. Myers seconded to discuss. All right. This is our, I think this is going to be, I don't think we've had an entertainment district at the Corvette show before.
Where is it?
Huh? So this is, I don't think. Ms. Stryker, have we had an entertainment district for the Corvette show before? No. No, none of the car shows, right? Yeah, this is the first time we've had an entertainment district in conjunction with a car show. So, all right.
And where is it located?
Doesn't
Mountain.
say.
Pine Mountain still, okay.
It does say
McClung?
Pine Mountain.
Yeah, I have to agree with everyone else, that I believe that it's would be great. I'm sure that they would like to let people walk around, look at the Corvettes with beers in their hand, but those people usually don't like people drinking around their vehicles anyway. Hey, they're pretty particular, and I think that if they're going to do an entertainment district during the Corvette weekend, that it needs to, I think, with everybody else, that it needs to be confined within the fronts of the building to the rear. There's room if they need to put up any kind of temporary vendors in there in the street around there that they park cars in. If they want those in there inside of it, that would be fine if they park cars inside that. But I'm talking about display cars, Corvettes for display. That I don't care, but I think you got to keep it confined.
Aren't most entertainment districts confined, though? I mean, isn't that part of following the regulations under the entertainment district? Is to have it?
The parking area is just that. It's the parking area.
Right.
And so I think they're going to be doing all their serving. It's back away from that. And that's the thing. They could have vendors out there that are non-alcoholic vendors or something like that. They can do that. We can't stop that. But because that's not what the entertainment district is for. It is for basically for the allowance of alcohol. Is what it's for.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I agree with Terry. I don't think that if I'll take my collector car out there, I don't want anybody pouring beer on my Model T. Anyway, if I had a Corvette, I wouldn't want beer spilled on it. My neighbors that have
But
collector
that's up to the
cars.
owners of the Corvettes, isn't it?
Huh?
That would be up to the owners of the Corvettes.
No
Well-
mustard.
Not necessarily. They may be coming and didn't know that there's going to be people walking around their car with a beer, and they may have driven many miles to
I've
get
been
there.
to a lot of car shows and walked around with beers, and I've never seen an issue with it.
I like the
honestly.
idea of having it restricted.
I'm not
to
sure
the
it's
back.
our responsibility to say
No.
what's going to
Exactly.
happen to the cars. The owner is putting on the car show, and he's asking for a
Well-
temporary. Now, the car show and the Corvettes circle that island. They go all the way around.
All right.
And pretty much fill up that entire lot.
I mean, are we saying we don't want alcohol there because it might get on a Corvette? Or are you
No,
just saying
actually,
it's because of the
it goes
parking
along
lot?
with control of the parking area and people
Okay.
coming off the highway and all that stuff too.
Mr. McClung? Oh,
Yeah, Steve, go ahead. I've said
Okay.
a little bit.
Well, I think we're all thinking it, how we fix this traffic problem? And I don't want to really approve this until we have some solution to that. So
You can't fix the traffic problem.
We can't.
No. You're going to if you're going to have people in town for any kind of event like that, you're going to have the traffic. There's just not anything you can do. And I would rather have the traffic and have the people and have the potential business in town than not.
Okay.
Otherwise, we fold. I mean, that's what we are as a tourist town.
You don't think you can organize it better, or they can pull in a different way or
It's
something?
the Corvettes have been here for years and years. I was in it 16 years myself, and it's just always like that. I mean, we used to do parades at night and burnouts, and people would be all over the street, and it was just a big time. But
We don't want to
You
run
wild
business
man.
off.
it never did run business off. It brought more, but
I'm not sure how many years, 20?
the Corvettes,
Yeah,
oh,
30.
longer than that, yeah. 30 at least. Yeah.
And it's always been a problem. I mean, it's not really a problem unless unless you're in a hurry. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to have traffic problems there.
And we have parades that hold up traffic.
Yeah. And whether it's a entertainment district or not, it's going to be irrelevant
Yeah.
on there. And I don't think, Mr. Meyer, I understand what you're saying, but
Well, the reason
blocking it
that,
off and just taking beer to the rear, I mean, we can do that. Council wants to do that, but it's not going to solve any problem.
well, if somebody has room to pull off the highway without being stopped right there so that the one right behind them can't come in, yeah, that's a problem. But if you just pull right into the parking lot and find your parking place, instead of being stopped and checked or whatever they do, sell them an armband or whatever. I don't know.
During, if I may, during the car shows, like the Corvettes, that's all that parks in there are just those vehicles. There's none of the people that, in fact, there's a lot of Corvettes that park out because there's no place left in there to park. So it's not open to any general parking, at least the Corvette show. I can't speak for the other shows because I don't get around them much. But I used to the Corvette show a lot. And so, I'm really not so opposed to it there for that kind of a car show as far as an entertainment district, as I think about that a little bit more, because it is all right out there. But for any others where they're the participants, if it's just like a music thing or something like that, where it's not, the parking lot is not display area, and it's a parking lot for the businesses, then it needs to be contained. Like for Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, that's a parking area, and it has to be the entertainment area has to be set back. That's how I see it, and I'm not sure how you want to word any of that, but that's.
Mr. Meyer?
Yeah, and that's the way the first one was at Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, but now it's like this on their map. They include the whole thing, everything out to the highway, which I don't think is a good idea, and that's not the way they did it when they had their first one, and it was well-run and well-designed. I say we amend this so that they have to put a boundary there. Where they first had it.
Mr. Almazena?
Just a question for Chief Lloyd again, sorry. With this temporary entertainment district, and just, I guess from experience of previous years, is this going to tax you guys again, or are you prepared for it this time, for traffic
Not
flow?
specifically on the entertainment district. I mean, higher traffic is always an issue. You know, it's not specifically an entertainment district. You know, Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue is always all hands on deck, you know. The encouraging thing is if we got something ahead of time saying, hey, it's not just your normal event here, we're going to have this and this and this. Like the ones that do the Jeep Jam, the different events and things that we have where we know there's going to be a ton of traffic in town. It's going to be 5 miles an hour. Having a heads up on that is all good. Entertainment district itself specifically doesn't necessarily tax us. It's just where the people are gathering where we can keep an eye on it.
Right,
Knowing that there's security there, knowing who our contacts are, that would be helpful, but no, it doesn't tax us.
And so just for clarification, this is the first time or first applicant for a temporary entertainment district during the car show. Is that correct?
Correct.
Corvette.
Just for Corvette show?
No, I think it's for the first car show, if I'm not
First
mistaken.
car show, yeah.
No.
Well, no, the
Mustang
resolution
weekend had
says
one.
for Corvette.
Last year?
They didn't have one last year at the antique car show or classic car show. I was in that one.
No, June Mustang car show. It was approved.
No, we had one in June. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stand corrected.
Thank you, Chief.
Our city clerk said we had one in June, when obviously no problem.
So, Chief, can you come back up?
Go ahead and sit in front. No.
And for the Mustang, were there any issues?
No, none that I was aware of, no.
And
I don't think they had a real big crowd for the Mustang.
so, as it is today, we have an entertainment district, temporary entertainment district ordinance, and they're applying for it. This is in October. I don't think it's fair that we try to throw an amendment in and hold this up for him to not be able to do it when he's following the rules as they are written today. Moving forward, if we make these changes, everybody's aware of that and then has to follow the new changes.
I would be good with that.
Ms. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve it as requested. Let's let one fly and see what happens.
Sign a number and read for passage.
Well, I don't think we need to do that. It's not, we're not making this
It's
is
a
just,
resolution.
just a resolution. Yeah, sign the number and read it for passage. And the only thing that it needs is that the qualifications, again, like we talked about with the other, you know, where they provide the police department the information that needed as far as that they're going to be required to have their own security. Can we do that?
That would be changing the ordinance.
Well, I mean, can we not put that into our,
When's the Corvette? October 3rd. There's plenty of time to change this. This is for October.
well, yeah, but we need to get it approved so he knows that's going to happen.
Yes.
Second. Did you get a second on this motion?
Yeah, I'm not sure what sign a number and read for passage?
Yeah.
Yes, sign a number, read it for passage.
Okay, I think you had.
Just leave it at
You
that.
had a second. Any further discussion?
Just one quick thing, in that I believe that knowing Marshall a little bit, that the chief can get with Marshall, and I think that they can work out whatever. Marshall will be amenable to whatever the chief
I
wants.
think they can, it's going to be worked out.
I mean, that,
Yeah, all right.
he's not going to be a problem.
Any further discussion? Okay. Voice vote?
Sorry. Terry McClung,
Yes.
Harry Meyer,
No.
David Avanzino,
Yes.
Steve Holofield,
Yes.
Susan Grunning.
Yes.
Assigning resolution number 864. A resolution to authorize a temporary entertainment district and establishing standards for its operation for Corvette Show. Whereas prior ordinances of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas allowed the creation and governance of temporary entertainment districts, and whereas application has been made for a temporary entertainment district to be granted. Whereas the mayor and required department heads of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas have reviewed the application and found it appropriate to forward for City Council consideration. And whereas the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs has made a comprehensive study of the application and its request. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, Section 1, Purpose and Intent. The purpose of the entertainment district is to promote hospitality and tourism within the city and to highlight restaurant, nightlife, entertainment, and hospitality options for tourists. Section 2, Location. The temporary entertainment district shall be at Pine Mountain Village, 5 acres of paved retail area. Section 3, dates and times hereby permitted, October 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. Section 4, identification of participants. Those persons who wish to possess or consume from an open alcoholic beverage container within the district or enter the district from an alcoholic beverage permitted establishment with an open container shall first obtain a wristband, and beverages will be served in prepackaged cans. Section 4, permitted sound. Live amplified sound, including music, shall be permitted under the following restrictions. Music can only be performed and or played from the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Stage or broadcast area shall be located within the fenced area. Sound produced shall not exceed 85 decibels. Section 6, applicable state and local laws. All laws and ordinances not addressed herein shall remain in full force and effect. Section 7, removal of alcoholic beverage from the district by participants. It shall be unlawful for any person to remove an open alcoholic beverage container from any entertainment district. All unfinished quantities of alcoholic beverage must be properly disposed of prior to the participants leaving the temporary entertainment district. Section 8, Police and Fire Authority. Nothing in this resolution prevents the chief of the Eureka Springs Police Department or the chief of the Eureka Springs Fire Department from suspending the operational hours of any entertainment district if necessary to comply with local, state, or federal law or fire codes, or if necessary to protect the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us to our next item is item number 3, extension of the B&B moratorium.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right. Time goes by real quick. It's a year, or this moratorium's about to expire, I think at the end of the month. So the Planning Commission would like for us to go ahead and extend the moratorium that they have until December 31st, 2024, so they can continue looking at seeing how to address this issue. So that's basically what we're doing, is extending the moratorium. So, is there any questions or comments?
Do you need a motion for this, or just assign it a resolution? I make a motion we assign this a resolution and read into passage.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? We do have the chairman of the planning commission here, so she's fine. All right. No further discussion. Voice vote.
Steve Holofield,
Yes.
Terry McClung,
Yes.
David Avanzino,
Yes.
Susan Greening,
Yes.
Harry Meyer.
Yes.
Assigning resolution number 865, a resolution imposing a moratorium on approval of new bed and breakfast conditional use permits or modification of existing B&B conditional use permits in R1, R2, and R3 zones. Whereas the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, to protect the residential zones of Eureka Springs, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs that a moratorium is hereby enacted for new bed and breakfast conditional use permits or modifications to existing bed and breakfast conditional use permits in R1, R2, and R3 residential zones unless changed by the City Council beginning at midnight, July 22nd, 2024 until midnight, December 31st, 2024.
All right, thank you all. That brings us up to our final item. It's item number 4, the clerk treasurer's second quarter report. We get a motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss?
Second.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Okay, so you have your comparative bank balances and long-term liability. Those are things that are provided in your budget packet. And then I have the quarterly financial comparatives charts. This is just how you can compare it to the quarters from last year to quarterly this year. It goes for accounts payable, payroll, and cash receipts. I have detailed reports if anyone wants them.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you resolve these numbers with Michael?
Yeah, those are from Michael.
So these are just numbers that you get from Michael. You don't resolve them.
Yeah, those are from the finance department. I legally have to present them to you every quarter.
That's her job.
Any further questions? All right, agenda setting. Anybody got anything up the top of your head? If not, we'll go ahead with city council comments. I'll start with Mr. Greening on this side.
Okay. I do appreciate getting the water leak done at, I think it's Norris and Kings Highway. It turned out as a little dribble into a little geyser, so, and Mayor probably was texting him on the weekend of that. We need help here. I had a couple of people ask me about putting striping down the middle of the street, the yellow lines, because in some of our one-way streets coming up from downtown, it seems like, especially right by the Intrigue Theater, they come up and what we're seeing is they think it's still one way. There's no signage that says you now start a two-way street. There's no lines they're all faded. So I didn't know if that was something.
Simon usually does a striping once a year, so I'll talk to him about that. I'm not sure what you're talking about again. I missed
Mountain
that.
and White Street, well, or, what is it? White Street and,
They almost converge
That was
into
Coleman.
one coming up, but you don't realize coming around the bend by the Texaco station, and then you go in front of Sparky's.
Yeah.
So we're seeing people that come up and they just, sometimes they don't even see the stop sign. They just keep going straight as if it's one
Oh, you're
street.
talking about Mountain Street.
Is that Fountain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mountain and Eureka. Okay.
It's all the way to 62, there's no line.
No,
there is no line.
not even faded.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no line on the historic loop at all.
Not anymore. Wherever it was.
Maybe because of the parking and not sure where the line would go.
Yeah, if somebody isn't from here, it could be a little misleading.
Yeah.
like in a big
The
way.
whole town is misleading.
GPS for sure.
That was my only comment.
All right, thanks. Mr. Almazzino?
Yes, I want to thank the council for approving the stripes at Spring and Main. However, I think RDOT put them in the wrong place. Because if you drive up on them, they're about 10 to 20 feet behind the stop sign. So it didn't fix the problem of the merge at Spring and Main. People are still having to drive way past that, where the art installation is, just to look to the left and right. People are still making U-turns where they shouldn't. We have pedestrians walking through that, which I guess is a question, is when that bridge is finally going to be fixed. Do we have any word on that at all?
Well, they just got the bridge drawings done. There's a question on how it's going to be. They're thinking about taking the bridge down and repairing it off-site.
Oh, wow.
But RDOT doesn't want us to close the highway down, so we're not sure how that bridge is going to get repaired without shutting the highway down for a period of time.
Okay.
That's between the owner and Mr. Cross and RDOT.
Okay. And my last comment is just to thank Simon and his team for, chugging right along with all the water leaks and doing everything that they're doing. Oh, he's not even here. Why am I even talking about it? That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Ellifield.
CAPC. So we have 6 applications for commissioners. We had 7, but somebody pulled out.
Wow.
I'm surprised we have 6.
How many vacancies do we have?
2 vacancies, 1 at large and 1 regular commission.
That's good.
So we'll talk about those. We'll have our next meeting this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Financial director positions, I think it's posted now. We've got a couple applications in. We'll see what happens there. And I don't know if everybody knows, but somebody in town is passing around a petition to do away with the CAPC. They need 148 signatures, and they've been pretty active in trying to collect those signatures and stuff. I had a friend told me, though, one person at least is calling people and saying this is about diverting some CAPC taxes to infrastructure. They're not talking about how it will do away with the CAPC altogether and what that would mean to the city of Eureka Springs. It'd be just disastrous. Every state or city who's ever voted away their A&P regretted it and had major...
Have you seen the petition?
Someone called me and asked me if I wanted to sign it, and I said, of course, no, don't sign it. So they are passed around. They're sitting in front of Hart's, health food store, walking around neighborhoods. So if this does make it on the ballot in November, we'll have to do an educational something to get people educated what this means, what would happen to the city of Eureka Springs if all our advertising money went away. And what would happen to the auditorium? It'd be such repercussions to this. It'd be disastrous, I believe. So more on that to follow. We'll see if they collect I'd be surprised if they don't collect their 148 signatures. People will sign pretty much any petition, but hopefully we'll see what happens. But keep in mind, this is happening. Please educate people. This petition is not to just divert taxes. And I told the person who called me, I said, you can't just say, okay, we'll take this tax over here. You have to do away with this first and then come up with a resolution or something on the ballot to create a new tax. And so to me, they're being very misleading on how they're presenting this to the public. So just be aware. So.
All right, Mr. Meyer.
Yeah, I heard about that. They're ignorant on how you can't spend CAPC money on water and sewer. You can't spend CAPC money on streets. It's got to be spent on advertising or this place because it draws people in. Yeah. After being deposed again, I almost ripped up all my petitions. Anyway, that's all for me.
Mr. McClung.
I was contacted and I went up on Mountain Street and looked at the speed bumps, and there's sections that are missing, and so I'm sure you're aware of all that. This is just a
I've talked to
reminder
Simon about that.
Okay.
There's some over on the other side of town also.
And
Yeah.
there's always streets that, they're asking for those, and I understand that, and it would be great if we could, I don't know how we could do it, but a way to encourage, residents to, that where we could, if we do a street fund or something like that, where they could, where they could donate to have those installed too. I don't know if we can do something like that or not, but just a way to increase those numbers and take care of those that we have. And then another is that, and I'm sure you've had this discussion too, but on the street repair that was done coming down Mountain Street there at Bearable Avenue, and doesn't look like it's going to drain correctly to me, the way it's laid out there. I've not been there when there's a lot of water. I don't think we've had some good rains, and I'm not sure if it's running
I hadn't
off
heard any
right.
complaints.
Huh?
I hadn't heard any complaints from the last water we've had
You haven't?
in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
I don't know why they picked on me then, but.
Oh, I've
but,
been picked on too.
But it's coming, and it's just, it just doesn't look like it's set up right. It just doesn't look like it drains, like it's all going to go back down on Gurney's again.
Yeah.
Jack.
I don't know. We'll have to look and see.
Yeah. Well, that's just for your information. That's all I have.
Well, the irony is, people want the streets paved, and when you pave the streets, then people have speeding problems, and then you got to put speed bumps up. And I said, the thing is, when we don't pave your streets, we got automatic speed bumps. But they don't like that.
That's right.
They don't like those holes in the pavement. So we are getting, and I've asked Public Works to see about getting, we're stretched real thin, and I've asked them to see about getting another person on board to help, because we don't just have a lot of work that needs to be going on. It's just not enough manpower, not enough money to do it. So it's just one of those things. We're pedaling as fast as we can on some of these things. As far as events going on, we've got Music in the Park, the 26th. It's date night. It's playing from 4 to 6. And on the 27th, here in the auditorium at 3 p.m., we have the Northwest Arkansas Brass Band. And if you haven't ever heard them, they're a great group. They were here earlier. In fact, this is going to be a great, that Saturday is going to be wonderful, because right after that, from 4 to 6, will be the Mountain Gypsies. And again, this is a trio. It's a mom, dad, and a daughter playing folk music from, I want to say over in Madison County or other side of Fayetteville, somewhere through there. Just a great little trio.
Are they here or are they at the park?
It's in the park.
Yeah, that's the park.
Yeah, that's the part of the Music in the Park, Mountain Gypsies. And then August 2nd through the 4th is our Summer Diversity Weekend. And then on the 3rd of August, we got Drumming in the Park from 6 to 8. And then on August 8th through the 11th, we'll have Revising Jazz Weekend with the jazz music all over town, including top of the Crescent Hotel, the Gottahold Brewery, Three Bergs Cafe, the Gravel Bar, Chelsea's, Missy White Rabbit, Spring on Main. So a lot of music going on with jazz.
Great.
And then music in the park, the jazz music will include Alicia Patillo on Friday from 4 to 6 on August the 9th. And then the Crescent City Combo, that should be real good, on August 10th, Saturday. So a lot of music coming in, and the dog days of summer are here, but it sounds like we got a lot of activities going on. So take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
If not, stick around.
Michael.